What's good people, and welcome back to the channel here on Kruboy Productions. My name is BK, and this is the Silly, Nerdy, and Wordy Podcast, episode number 88, a House of Dynamite review, a spoiler review of the new Netflix film. That is what I'll be discussing today. What's good, everyone? I hope everyone is doing very well, and I'm glad to be back doing another episode for you. And if you are new here, welcome to my channel. And what I do is spoiler reviews of films released in the theaters, on streaming, some Blu-rays. And so that's what I do, but I do it with the production details weaved in and how things are done on screen and what went into it, as well as the people behind them shouting out their name, their roles, and things that they've already done in the past that you most likely have seen. I also do Broadway. I do those reviews as I see them live and in person. I also talk about some TV coverage as well. So if you like all of that, subscribe for more of the content as it is coming. Thank you for all of the new subscribers. Really appreciate you. And I've also been doing this nerdy rewatch series for the Blu-rays. So I have some of them on the channel right now, the first two Harry Potter films and The Dark Knight. So check those out. There's a playlist for both of those. And this film, this House of Dynamite film, it is directed by Kathryn Bigelow. And her previous projects include Zero Dark 30, and I do own that Blu-ray here. That movie was released in 2012. She's also directed The Hurt Locker, that was in 2008. She's also directed Detroit, that was in 2017. And she has also directed Strange Days. That was in 1995. Now, the cast includes Rebecca Ferguson, Idris Elba, Gabriel Basso, and you may know Gabriel Basso as the Night Agent in the Netflix show The Night Agent. His character is Peter. And Anthony Ramos, Jared Harris, Moses Ingram, Greta Lee, Willa Fitzgerald, Brian T., Malachi Beasley, and Renee Elise Goldsberry. And you may know Renee Elise Goldsberry because she is in the original cast of Hamilton on stage. She is one of the Schuyler sisters. So that is her. This movie, I really enjoyed it, and it puts you in the intensity right away, right at the top. Netflix normally plays their sound at the beginning of a movie, and when you turn on the app, when you go into the Netflix app, you hear that sound when you go into your account. And so this is a very small thing, but I like the decision of what they did between Netflix and the director is to not play that sound at the beginning of this movie. You still had the logo played on screen in a big way. And so that decision there, I really like what they did. And instead, the movie starts out on with the black screen, and the score gets in right away. I believe it's a string instrument, and it starts off and it just puts you in the mode, in the intensity right away before anyone comes on screen. They start off in Alaska at a missile base in Alaska with Anthony Ramos coming out and having a conversation with what appears to be his wife or girlfriend, maybe someone else, but conversation not going too well. The intensity, it just grabs onto you and it just does not let go. Now, there are some moments where that intensity backs off a little bit, but it's very few. And so it's just interesting how this film is done. This film at a high level, it is about an incoming object that is coming into the atmosphere, and the characters, they believe it's coming from the atmosphere, and they want to use their nuclear capabilities to shoot it down. And unfortunately, it does not make impact. And so the various people and places within the US government, they believe that it could be another country striking against them, but they have to confirm that, they have to authenticate that. And that is what the gist of this is. And the trajectory of that incoming object is going towards Chicago in this movie. And so what they're trying to do is see how to and when to use their nuclear capabilities. And so that is what is happening throughout this movie. And the structure of this movie, so they do the story, they tell it from different perspectives and different locations and different US strategic locations, some of which all of us know, some of which some of us don't know. And then there may be some that possibly just might just be created for the sake of this movie. So it's telling the perspective that way from different perspectives and different locations through the in-person live and then also through video conference and audio phone. I want to compare this movie. It is similar to the Vantage Point film in 2008, which I also have the DVD. It is similar to this film here. This film takes the perspective of 8 perspectives, one story, and as it says, 8 strangers, 8 points, one truth. And so there are similarities, but this film, A House of Dynamite, it takes a different take. It increases the level, so it doesn't do the same thing, and it uses the U.S. government is involved. These different locations are involved, and so, for instance, you hear the story and you see the story in the White House Situation Room and the press room. You see it there. Then they go to these different locations and tell the same story from their point of view, because when they're in the White House Situation Room, they're talking to the different locations, government locations. And so when they get to the other location, you get to see and hear that other end of the conversation that you were seeing on the video conference call or on the audio call. So they did that several times in all of the different locations. The Alaska Missile Base, then they went to the White House Situation Room and the White House Press Room, the Special Operations Room, the USS Stratcom Command Facility, the Air Force Base in Nebraska for the story. Then they went to the Oval Office in Washington, D.C., and a waiting room outside the Oval Office. They went to the Pentagon, and then a nuclear bunker in Adams County, Pennsylvania, for the sake of this movie. And so they took the story and told it from the different perspectives, the different government officials. You heard one end of the conversation, you heard them on the phone, and then they did the same thing and showed the person live and in person, and you heard the other end of it, the exact same wording, but different perspectives. And when each time they did that, they faded to black as if the movie is over, then going on to the different locations. So this was just very intense from start to finish. One particular role that I want to shout out is the editor of this film, because cutting this up and getting it together and having a fresh take on this, telling the same story and the 5 or 6 different perspectives, very good, and hats off to the editor. And I want to shout him out, and his name is Kirk Baxter. And some of the previous project that Kirk Baxter has worked on, the editor for this House of Dynamite film, he has done the editing for The Social Network. That was in 2010. He's also been the editor. He was the editor for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button in 2008. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, he was the editor for that film in 2011. And he also was the editor for the House of Cards, the very first 2 episodes, season 1, episode 1, and season 1, episode 2, that started out in 2013. I enjoyed that show very much. Great writing. But he was the editor for the very first two episodes of House of Cards. So the way this thing was put together and structured, telling the story from the different points of view, is very key because you're doing the same thing that has been done before in film and in TV, telling the story from different perspectives. But in this case, you are using the US government, you are using those different locations and different roles. You're using video conferencing and audio phone calls, hearing them in person, seeing them in person, and then the other side of that and seeing how they are dealing with it. So just an interesting way of how this film was structured. It just had my attention all the way through. As I skipped to the end of the film, now this was an interesting choice how they ended the film. The US has all these capabilities with these nuclear weapons within this movie. And the way that this film ended didn't really give a definitive ending one way of the other, whether determining if it was another country that was launching their nuclear weapons and launching against them before they launch against the US. And so the movie ends with certain personnels are tagged to be, you could say, important in terms of their roles and what they're able to do, and they all head to a bunker in Pennsylvania. And so you see them going into the bunker in the buses, and then the movie fades to black. So what the ending did is just left it open for interpretation for the audience, as opposed to seeing the ending where the US takes their nuclear weapons and sends it to another country, and that's how the film ends. Another possible war starts. Or they hit the actual target and peace is good and nothing happens, or the other country retaliates against the US and the other country wins, the US quote unquote loses. But it doesn't really give that definitive end. So that was just very interesting to me, the way the film ended, and it's just left it open. Some people would probably be upset about it. Some people would be okay with it. I understand the decision of it. So that is the film there. And in terms of the cast, I don't think anybody really stood out to me per se. I think collectively everyone was really, really well. The writing was great. I think this was a whole great ensemble cast. Everyone got a chance to shine in their moment, even the supporting characters as well. And then just going to all of these different locations also. So I really like the film. If you like the intense suspense of the film, almost to the level of a 24, that great show on Fox years ago. A little bit of that intensity, I would say, with this film, just kept it going. So really, really enjoy the film. So I recommend that you check out A House of Dynamite. That's all I have to say for this film. Go ahead and check it out. So if you like that review, hopefully I was able to provide you with some good value there. With that, I want to send all of you good vibes for the rest of your day. And until next time, we will talk soon.